Hey everyone, it's Tony here. Welcome to a special Memorial Day edition of my horse racing vlog. It's May 27th, 2024, and we're starting the day off with the fifth race at Parx. Stay tuned as I dive into the past performances, I handicap, I bet, and hopefully I hit it big. Let's go. Alright, so we're looking at the form here for this race. There's a pretty heavy favorite bossiness here, 4 to 5 shot. Gonna try to take a shot against the favorite with a simple win bet. Don't need to get too fancy. I end up landing on the 4 Tempest Rising. Second race for a new trainer. 4 to 1, $150. Let's try to book a $500, $600, $700 win to start the day and see what happens. Alright, so nothing too exciting race 1, unfortunately. We took the 4. He ends up going off at 8 to 1. Tough one to beat. I thought we'd be fighting a 4 to 5 shot, maybe even money. Unfortunately, this 6 horse, the 1 to 5 shot, gets out in front, walks around the track, and boom, we're down 150 to start. Alright, so next race that we look at is the 6th race at Horseshoe Indianapolis. It's a 6 furlong maiden race. Maiden means that no one has ever won before. Heavy favorite 7, Jay's Naughty Kitten. Lost by 4 lengths last time, took second, was 1 to 2 last time, couldn't win last time as the favorite. Looking at the 8 here, Garden Secrets, who is currently dropping in class. If you could see her previous races were maiden special 38Ks. Also was looking at that 4 horse who only ran once, and then I also kind of like the 2. So I throw 100 on the 2, and I throw 50 on the 4 and 8, try to get some prices, and we'll see what happens. And they're off. And this one kind of starts just like Parx did. The chalk darts out, not 1 to 5 this time, only 3 to 5. The 9 Roses for Lose is pressing the 7. Our 3 horses are in the back, the 2, the 4, and the 8. Make a little bit of a move. The 4 gets some momentum going into the stretch, but unfortunately this one happens to play out just like Parx did. Chalk runs away, and we just lost $200 more. So on to the next race. We're down 350, need to book a win. I look at this one horse at Churchill, geez. Last 3 races in a row were graded stakes. Is going in an optional claiming race today. Also use this other tool, AIHorsePicks.com. It's one of the top picks over there. 6 to 1 shot. I think, okay, hit this, we get back on top. It's kind of a big field. Chalk's on the outside. I'd like to fade the outside chalk usually. So here we go, 150 to win on the 1. See what happens. So I did miss the break. I apologize for that. But as we could see, the 1 starts out towards the back. Doesn't do squat all race. I don't even think it's worth your time to watch this whole thing. The 1 finishes dead last. That's right. This graded stakes horse finished like 10th in a field of 10. Not my day so far. There's another 150 down the drain. So the next race I start looking at is the 5th at Monmouth Park. It's 5.5 furlongs off the turf. A lot of these horses are cutting back in distance from a mile. There's a big favorite here, Betta Go Go Go. Looks to be maybe 7 to 5 or 3 to 2. Seems to be faded in their last race as the chalk, couldn't get the job done. I scroll the form until I end up looking at the 9. The 9 here, Dither, catches my eye because he did have a bad race on dirt, his only dirt race, but he was also having bad turf races that time. And then he kind of seems to have turned his form around and almost won at Gulfstream, and maybe it's time for him to win on dirt. So with 300 left in the balance, we throw 100 on Dither, and we cross our fingers. I do also throw in some backup exactas. I put the 1 and the 7 over the 9. $20 exactas. It's a $40 ticket. If it hits, it pays between $500 and $700, and I won't be upset if my horse comes in second. Full disclosure, I did lose $100 at Finger Lakes right before this one went off at Monmouth. 7 to 5 shot didn't work out, but Monmouth breaks, and hey, my 9's on top. He is 13 to 1, which has me a little nervous. But, you know, you can't win if you're not in front, and he started out in front. So we speed it up here. We can see the 9 is holding. Looks like he's even drawn away a little bit. Maybe not. Unfortunately, the 4 is coming to track him down, and I'm worried my 9's going to get caught. But he seems to be holding on. Ooh, he rears out a little bit, kind of makes the 4 scared, and then he runs away, and I think we just won a race. And so after betting $140 total on this race, we walk away with $1,440, a profit of $1,300 exactly. We've got about $1,500 in our account, and we're $500 away from meeting our 2K goal. So with our $1,500 bankroll, we go to the 7th race at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and I end up using this website, AIHorsePicks.com. Look to see who they're on. Top pick is actually the 2 here, Shiesty to Chase, but at 27-1, I just can't get behind it. The 5 and the 6, it seems to be decent prices that the website likes, so I throw $150 on the 5, I throw $100 on the 6. I did look at the form for a bit here, but I couldn't come up with anything concrete, so I give AI Horse Picks a shot. Alright, so we've got $250 on this. The race starts off okay, actually. The 5 and 6 are both up there. We're getting 6-1 on the 5. We're getting 9-1 on the 6. That 2, Shiesty to Chase, is up there as well. I'm feeling okay right now. If one of these hits, we've got over 2K, we're calling it a day. Unfortunately, the 5 and 6 start to fade about halfway through the race, and they just don't re-engage. That 2's up there, Shiesty to Chase, and I'm thinking, damn, that's the AI Horse Picks pick. So now I'm rooting against him. And the 10, he's coming. He's going to make me a little happy, at least, that I didn't pass on the 2. 10's about to go right by. Then at the last second, Shiesty to Chase fights back. Top pick at AI Horse Picks, 11-1. That was my bailout for the day. Go home a winner. That one hurt. That one hurt. Now, after a tough beat like that, what a horse player will do is usually go back to the form and see what they missed. If one thing, it's the first Lasix angle where the trainer's 1 for 2 off Lasix first time. There's really not much I'm seeing, though. I looked, that horse was never bet. Never ran with Lasix, though. So, again, what was this? You look at the first Lasix and you give him a chance? I don't know. The dirt to turf numbers were okay, but nothing really stuck out. And the extra frustrating thing, though, is that AI Horse Picks did like the horse. They are coming off a class drop as well. You see that they were in a maiden 36K. And the trainer's 2 for 5. The AI Horse Picks is definitely picking up on that. So I guess it had a few reasons. Maybe the other horses just didn't look particularly good themselves. Hard to say. You live, you learn, you move on. So the next one I look at is the 5th at Aqueduct. I like this Prince James horse. He's 9-2. He won 2 races ago in the slop with the same jockey, and it's a pretty sloppy track out there today. It was a 6 furlong race. He won at 7 furlongs. I thought the price was worth it. I've got about $12.50 in the account after that $2.50 loss at Horseshoe, Indiana. So I put about $150 on Prince James, and if it hits, I'll be right around 2K, and I think I could call it quits. After I make this win bet, I also do what you've seen me do in a few other races. I do some $15 exacta backups. I figure if Prince James gets nosed or takes second, I'll still win maybe $500 to $700, and I'll be getting close to that 2K stopping point. So I do capture the start of this one, and as we can see, this 4 breaks okay. He's in the middle of the pack. I think he's got a small chance. Towards the middle of the race, though, you gotta get going. You gotta get going. And he does a little bit. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. He ends up taking a dull fourth place. Chalk wins, Colonel Vargo. What can you do? That's just how it happens sometimes. We're back to 1080 in the account, and we're starting to get to the point where we're like, hey, we need a win. So we go back to Monmouth Park, race 6. If you remember race 5, we had a nice win there, $100 on a 13-1 shot. So I'm looking at this race at Monmouth. Not a huge field. The 1 is maybe the second chalk. I end up looking at the 5 and the 6. AI Horse Picks was actually on the 6 here, Canadian Pharaoh. Paco Lopez, 28% jockey. The 5 just looked like the price was right too. It's not that I love the 5, it's that I didn't love the 7. Rumjar, for example, a Parx horse who was losing by 20 lengths out in his last 2 races, I wasn't a big fan. So I think I go against Rum Jar, I go against the 1, and I see if Co-Conspirator or the 6-horse Paco can do something for me. So I end up with 2 different bets here. The first one's 150 to win on Canadian Pharaoh, the 6-horse. My second bet, I go $60 to win on the 5. I like the 6 more than the 5. 6 was my main pick, but at the price of the 5, I thought it was worth the $60 bet. I also do some backup trifectas. You've seen me do backup exactas. Well, this is a backup try. Maybe not the smartest move in the world, but it was a pretty small amount, just $5 for a total bet size of $20. Rum Jar, I did not like at all in this race, so I didn't put Rum Jar in that backup ticket. I'm thinking about 40, and then I end up doing just 20 bucks. You can see I've got 805 in the account after this bet. If we don't hit this, we're pretty much back to square zero, right? $800 balance. Well, anyways, race goes off. We've got that 60 bucks on the 5, if you remember. 9 to 1 is the off price, which means we'd be getting about $600 if he can win. That 7 Rum Jar goes right up next to him. 7 to 5, which had me worried. He was 5 to 2 or 3 to 1 going in the gate, and I just did not like the horse. He was getting crushed at Parx. Sure enough, Rum Jar's going. My 5 fights, he even goes from the inside to the outside. He's closing late and falls short at the end. Another loser. And we're back. $800 in the account. I do the old double check the form move. I don't see anything I like. You can let me know in the comments what I'm missing here, but I do not think Rum Jar looked good at all. So with our $800 balance, we go back to Parx in Pennsylvania. And I crack open the form here, taking a look. I actually end up landing on this 9 volatility. I look at the form, I see Flashy 2, hasn't ran since October. Same deal with Getaway Palace, long layoffs, nothing to really like there. Boss Like Beth had lost by 12, 17 lengths. Granted, they were allowance races, but Beth was not up there. Color Crush also was losing by 20-something lengths, and Volatility didn't do great last time out, but in general, the horse has always been bet. If you throw out the last race, I think Volatility's the play. So I throw 150 down on Volatility, pays a nice $900 if it hits. I also throw in what you call some heavy insurance. I take the 3 over the 7 and the 9, $50 backup exactas. I was originally just going to do 3-9, but I thought the 7 maybe gets in second too with Frankie Pennington. So that's a $100 insurance backup. Maybe you don't even call it insurance at that point. It pays between $1,500 and $2,000 if it hits. Maybe my 9 gets upset. 3-9 still ends up being a winner. So the race goes off. Couldn't have asked for a better start. He's not out to the front, which, you don't want him to gas himself out. He's sitting a nice third, letting the 6 and the 10 horse tire each other out. Eventually he passes the 10 and he's got some momentum. I think this could be a winner. He's 5 to 1. He's moving. You got to think the 6 horse is eventually going to tire. Unfortunately, the 6 horse does not tire. He goes gate to wire, keeps running. The 9 ends up a pretty clear second. What sucked about this is that my backup exacta had the 3 in first, not the 6. If I had 6-9, it would have paid real nice, but I didn't. And I lose $250 on the race. My balance is down to $555. I had about $1,500 at the peak. Starting to get a little frustrated. So what do you do after a frustrating loss like that? Well, some people do what you say is go on tilt, and that is precisely what I did. With every ounce of ADD in my body, I quickly picked 2 winners at Pimlico race 7 and threw $100 on each of them. I take one final look at my Parx bet to mourn my loss, and it's time to move on. I just got 100 in on 2 horses at Pimlico. Balance is getting low at 350, but if I could hit at Pimlico, I'll still be back on top. Unfortunately, there was a spill in this race, so I don't want to show it from start to finish, but you can see here as they're turning for the stretch run, my 4 horse is a far back third. They're giving him a 3% chance to win. It's looking like Dr. Jeff is most likely going to win. The Pimlico win percentage meter has him at 79%. Boss Pal's only at 2%. I don't think he's getting it, but then he turns up, and he goes, and he goes, and he goes. And he's 80%, 83, 95, and he's home. Whew. It's hard to believe, but he won. My ADD bet pays off. I'm going to get about $1,000 off that bet, put me back at $1,355, maybe $1,400. But remember, there was a spill in the middle of the race, right? While I wait for the result of that inquiry, I do jump over to Horseshoe Indianapolis. In retrospect, this wasn't the best move. I probably should have just waited out the inquiry. I throw $250 down on this race. I'm going to save you a few minutes here. It didn't pan out. We look at the stretch run here. The 3 didn't run much of a race. The 5 was actually coming late. 10 was gone, though. This one was done with 50 yards to go. After the inquiry at Pimlico, actually the 4 did not come down. It was the 9 who was disqualified from 3rd. Caused some interference, caused the stumble on the 7. My 4 paid $20.60, won about $1,000 off that bet. So I'm doing okay, but I did just waste $250 at Horseshoe Indy. Not feeling great about that. So I profited about $820 on that race actually, putting my balance a little bit above 1,000 again. As you can see, current balance is $1125. I start looking at the 6th race here at Belmont. I'm really hoping to just get this winner, get my 2K, and go home. I'm looking at the form for this race. There's some first-timers, some second-timers, some third-timers. Not a lot to go off, but there is a 15 horse here who's 3-5. And I also end up liking the 10 and the 16. So I do a $100 exacta here. I get a little aggressive. It could pay me about $1,000, right? That's what it says here, approximately $1,000 to $1,400. I think this could be the get out bet. So I put it in, $100 exactas. They're loading into the gate at Belmont. We've got the 15, the 3-5 shot over the 16, who's about 10-1, and the 10, who is 11-1. So the race goes off. 16 actually takes an early lead. Kind of what you want to see. You can see the 15 is in 4th, 3rd. He's moving. It's looking decent. He's 1-2. You think he's going to get home. You think he'll pass the 16 and maybe get your 15, 16 exacta, right? Unfortunately, the 16 does their best Energizer Bunny impression. They just keep going, and we end up having the exacta backwards. Unfortunately, backwards exactas don't pay anything in this game, so we just got to keep going on. We got $925 in the account. I start looking at Louisiana Downs at race 3. Louisiana Downs is a tier 2 track here. I peruse the form, take a look on AI Horse Picks. AI Horse Picks actually picked the 1-horse Vortex, then the 7, then the 3. I ended up liking the 3 and the 8. I threw 100 on both of them. And the 3 was 5-1 at the time, so I throw an extra 100 on him, and I get 200 on the 3. So I've got 200 on the 3, 100 on the 8. Double check Belmont, mourn my loss for a few more seconds, and then boom, it's off to Louisiana. So the 3 looked pretty good for the price they were going off at. This was a 6 furlong race. You'll notice the 3 was in the superfecta in most races before this. It was an AI horse pick. This was my main play, 200. Races off, not a bad start. Again, I've got the 3 and the 8. 3 gets in on the inside, which you like to see. 8's a little wide. Speed the race up a bit here. You can see the 3 ran a good race, was right next to the 1. I thought he might have passed. Unfortunately, the 1, the AI horse pick, starts to pull away. 3 fights and fights, holds a nice second, just couldn't get to the 1. Definitely a heartbreaker. I had 200 on the 3 at 7-1. Would have paid about $1,600. I'd be well over 2K. I'd be out. Second place. The beats continue. I look back at the form. I try to see something in the 1. I really don't. I mean, he lost by 10, 8 lengths. You know, just how it goes sometimes, right? So back down to 625 is the current balance. I look over to Presque Isle Downs Casino. They're loading into the gate. I do some capping in the form. I personally like the 3-horse, and then after I look it up on AIHorsePicks.com, I notice that AI Horse Picks is on the 3 as well. So after looking at the form here at Presque Isle, I land on the 3. It was actually the top pick as well at AIHorsePicks.com. 3 was coming off of a layoff, but was heavily bet her last 2 times out. The other horses looked like they maybe didn't have the distance, they were going to fade or tire. The 1 had lost by 20 lengths. So I'm in. Let's take the 3 here. I end up going with 200 to win. It pays about 1.3K, brings my balance down to 425. I do some of my famous backup exactas for $25, $75 backup, but I like this 3, didn't want to get heartbroken by a nose. Double check that Louisiana Downs race, close it quickly to remind me of my heartbreak on that other 3, and here we go. We are off at Presque Isle. We'll speed the race up a little bit. We could see the 3 takes an early 5th place, sits on the inside, hasn't wasted much energy. Can't complain where he's at. You're a little worried about the 1 being up front there, 5-2. You don't want the favorite to go gate to wire like that. Anyways, we get into the final turn here. 3 looks a little weary. I don't think it's happening. Then we see a little bit of a change. The 3 goes from the inside to the outside, quickly passes the 1 and holds. And we just won over $1,000 on that race. Take a look at my FanDuel racing account. You'll actually see it was about $825 profit, but not bad. We're going to be at $1,450 in the account. Man, a lot of back and forth today. Really relieved to be getting this one. Really relieved to be back up $600, but I'm trying to get to 2K. I need 1 to 2 more nice wins, and I think we can do it, folks. While I was waiting for the payout on that 3, I basically violated my previous rule that I established earlier, and I actually bet the 7 at Monmouth Park. Gonna save you some time. You don't need to see how my 3-1 shot took last place. Probably my worst bet of the day. But after that loss at Monmouth, you can see we're sitting at $1,240 in the account. We're still up $440 on the day, and we still got hope to get to 2K. So we take a little break after that $150 loss. Again, still sitting at $1240 on the bankroll, and we move over to Finger Lakes. It's the 7th race here, and it looks pretty wide open. It's kind of a bullshit race. The favorite is the 5, Jack and Bernie. Looked good, but is coming off a pretty long layoff here. It was 1-5 last time out. Time before that was even shorter of a price. But I'm looking at this 3 and 4 and thinking that they've got a decent shot. The 4 had 2 bullet workouts, is second race off a layoff. The 3 was racing at Aqueduct, so you think maybe coming over from Aqueduct, the horse will be a little bit better, could pull off a win. So my early intuition is looking at the 3 and the 4. We peruse the form a bit more. Again, we probably want to go against the 5. So I'm looking at the 3 and the 4, trying to find ways to go against the 5. I make my case. I scroll the rest of the form. 6 actually looked decent. Allure of Money was in a winning stakes race. Actually won in a mile, won at 6 furlongs, but was coming off a layoff. Then I look at 7, 30-1, not really interested. And then the 8 doesn't look too bad, Shipsational. I just kind of like the 8 the most. Seemed to need 6 furlongs, lost by half a length at 5.5. Maybe just an extra half furlong and Shipsational will be a winner. Again, this was a 6 furlong race at Finger Lakes. Say that 10 times. So I go to make my bet. I throw 200 on the 8 horse. I think could pay 1,000. Actually end up doing 250. Pays 1.1K. It's my main pick again. I think Shipsational just needed that extra half furlong. And then I also throw 100 on the 3 and 4. I thought they had a shot too. In a little heavy on the race. I spent $450, but all I need is 1 hit here and I'm out. I'll be over 2K no matter which of these 3 bets hit, and it'll be a winning day. Race goes off and the 4 breaks okay. Actually is up in second there, right behind the 5. Come on, 5. Need you to tire, need the 4 to pass. I'm getting 14-1. The 3's up there too. So is the 8. Come on, guys. Just need one of you to pass the 5. Price is a little short on the 8, but that beats a loss. Anyways, the 4 is moving, and I think the 4 is going home. And I think I'm going to get my 14-1 and win $1,500. And it just does not happen. As you can see, my heart gets ripped out as the 5 hangs on and the 4 falls behind and takes second. So after Finger Lakes, I still look to find my bailout of the day. We're trying to get to 2K, and I look at the 8th at Monmouth. It's actually a 100K stakes race, the Mount Prospector Stakes. It's a 6 furlong sprint. I scan the form. I like Dean Delivers, coming off a little bit of a layoff, but was running at Gulfstream in Tampa. Little Vic at 2-1, that's just not worth it. Counter Spy, the 2, could not win anywhere except Parx. The 1 was doing pretty good at Laurel and Parx, kind of like the 1, but mostly like the 7 Dean Delivers. So anyways, I go to make my bet, and I do 150 on Dean, and I do 150 on the 1. And right before the race goes off, I actually end up boxing 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think all those 3 chalks on the inside may choke. Outside horses may take over. I could get a nice trifecta price with those outside horses boxed. 5-horse tri-box costs $60 for a buck. At the very last second, I even sneak in an extra $100 on our buddy Dean. And I'm thinking, Dean, please deliver. And the 100K stakes race goes off in the slop here. Dean Delivers takes an early lead at 9-2. We also see the 4s up there, and I'm actually seeing all 5 of my horses right up there, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Obviously hoping that Dean wins and also thinking about that trifecta. The 5 is 60-1, makes a little bit of a late run, almost gets into the try. But the most important thing is our buddy Dean, in fact, does deliver. We had $250 on this horse at 9-2, and he runs away with it. I go back to FanDuel to double check what my payouts are, and I'm expecting around $1,400 to $1,500 for my 2 winning tickets there. Very happy that I got that extra 100 to win in on Dean at the last second. A little bummed I couldn't get my trifecta box, but I'll take it. I cannot complain. I'm currently sitting on $1,800, and you know what, guys? I think that's time to call it. I know we didn't get to 2K, but with all of today's back and forth, I'm a little tired, and I want to walk away a winner. So there's always tomorrow, and thanks for coming out today.